Hey everyone, it's Emily Graziano, and this is going to be part 2 of my thoughts on the Kiss biography that aired on June 27th and 28th of 2021. I did a part 1. I will link that in the description. This is going to be a shorter video just because I did get out most of my thoughts, but this is some leftover thoughts that I had, that things that I might have forgot to mention, things that once I sat down and thought about it and, rewatched part 1, I'm like, oh, I didn't mention that. So like the documentary, I made a part 2. It's not going to be as long. I got a really positive response to the first video, and I'm very, very thankful to that, especially with my Tommy Thayer rant. I'm sorry that happened, but I admit it was pretty glorious. It was. Okay. So, one of the really funny things of this documentary, just to start off with, was in part 2, Ace and Peter constantly telling Tommy, who was on the lead camera, Tommy Thayer, lead camera, telling Tommy, who was recording them, to basically F off. You would have Ace saying, Thayer, get that thing away from me, or Ace saying, Thayer, F off. I loved seeing that in the 96 to 2000 footage. It was just great, and it happened multiple times. You would just see, Ace and Peter in these random clips, and although it was used to make them look pretty bad, I think it made them look really awesome. Like Ace and Peter, that was glorious. I loved it. It just made everything that much better, and it's like somebody should find a compilation of those types of clips and just make it. And we'd totally be on Ace and Peter's side because of it, but it would be the funniest thing ever. Okay, also, this doesn't have a certain part, but just throughout the whole thing, Eric Singer's contribution, I found it very, very interesting. Eric was sparingly used. I mean, they used Tommy more so. Hint, hint, does that tell you who's more of a kiss-up? Yes. But Eric Singer, if that means that he gets to, the fact that he doesn't want to kiss up, and the fact that he doesn't go around saying, hi everyone, I'm like Peter Criss 2.0, the fact that he doesn't do that and he likes to be his own musician, that is very respectful, and I feel bad that he got minimal contribution to the documentary, but I thought Eric Singer's contribution, I kind of believe he even got less screen time than Bruce. That was very interesting, and Bruce, at this point, Eric Singer has been in the band longer than Bruce. I thought that was kind of interesting to note. Bruce, I wanted to talk a little bit about him throughout both parts, and more so in part 2. How he was the one who got to talk about Vinny and Mark, because after all, he's the one who basically essentially replaced both of them. It was very great to see Mark St. John mentioned, because it would be very easy to just skip over him, but the fact they showed a couple clips of him, I know they showed a clip of him and Gene together, which is also on Kissology. It's on Kissology too, on one of the Easter eggs of the disc. I thought that was very good, because Mark St. John, I think he is underrated in his contributions to the band. I know he didn't last long, and I did not write this down, but I wanted to mention, although Bruce was correct in the fact that Mark had an arthritis condition that prevented him from being in the band, that's not the full truth. I don't know the full story, but I know the fact that because of the arthritis, that was not the only reason why Paul and Gene wanted him out of the band. Now, Peter Criss also had run-ins with Mark St. John later in the 80s. And Peter mentioned some really weird things about Mark St. John that I'd rather not mention out loud on YouTube. You can look it up in Peter's book if you have it, or if you want to go out and get Peter's book and read about it. Of course, it's from Peter's point of view, but the fact of the matter is that the arthritis story is only half the story of why Mark was out of Kiss. It's very convenient, though, for them to say things about the arthritis. And then it all kind of makes sense when you think about the way in which Mark St. John kind of passed away. It kind of has connections to what Peter said in his book. I'll just leave it at that. Okay, moving on to the next point I have written down. In night one, the fact that they gave a shout out to the Indie Kiss fans in Terre Haute, Indiana, who started the Kiss Army, Jay and Bill. That was a very, very cool thing because Indie Kiss fans, they just have a special place in my heart. My mom is an Indie Kiss fan. At the concert we went to in March 2nd, 2019, I was waiting outside the bathroom for my mom. I was actually holding her purse, and then, we'd switch and she'd hold my purse, whatever. When I was waiting outside, these 4 guys dressed in the Dress to Kill look walked by, and it was really cool. It's like, oh my god, it's like a walking album cover, because they were in like the same lineup when they were walking to the arena that they were on the album cover, It was so cool. And then my mom comes out of the bathroom, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you missed the guys in the Dress to Kill look, and the guy standing next to me waiting for his wife to come out of the bathroom said, well, yeah, it was, but those suits, the pant and sock gap there, it wasn't exactly on point. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Bill Aucoin was kind of short compared to, like, Gene. And he's like, you know that? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, and how old are you again? And I'm like, oh gosh, how old was I? I was 23, I think. No, I was 22. Gosh, I forget how old I was in March 2019. It seems like it was a million years ago. I was 22, sorry. Okay, I was 22, and he was just very impressed with that, and then it turns out him and his wife were Indie Kiss fans, and we really had like a moment outside the ladies' room. At least it wasn't inside the ladies' room. We kind of had a moment, and my mom, once she learned that the guys were from the guy and his wife were from Indiana, she got really sentimental because she's a Hoosier. Hoosier Kiss fans are awesome, and shout out to another person who I know is an Indie Kiss fan. Just shout out to you. Okay, so that was awesome. Something that they did not include, which really was shocking. It shocked me. Why did they cut out the Cadillac, Michigan mention? That was a really crucial event in the band's history that kind of made the world aware, hey, this band actually has some staying power. This band actually can work wonders. Well, okay, maybe it didn't make headline news around the world, but that was a very monumental event in the Kiss fandom history, in the history of Kisstory, in the history of it all. That was a very, very poignant moment, and I'm shocked that they didn't mention it by name. They showed some stock footage and images from Cadillac, Michigan, but they didn't mention it. That was kind of a sad omission. Okay, which brings me also in part 1, it was interesting to note that they had video footage of the back cover of the Alive photo. Now that footage, it was very interesting to see. I personally had not seen that footage of the kids with that sign there. And it brings up an interesting question. Was that concert really at a Kiss concert? I have read rumors on forums and on the Kiss FAQ message board, and just heard things from various people I talked to within this Kiss community, which of course I love, that was not taken at a Kiss concert, that these kids and the photographer snuck into a Led Zeppelin concert, took the picture, and kind of left. I don't know if that's true or not, but it was very interesting to see the footage because, as it's been known, Kiss Alive propelled them to superstardom, and while they had good concert attendance, you look on the back of the Alive cover and you're like, that's huge. That's like a major sellout. Now, if you know any information about there, you can feel free to leave any comments in the comments. But I just found that really interesting. That kind of brought up that question again, was that really a Kiss concert? Okay. Personally, I thought, especially in part 1, Bill Aucoin should have gotten a lot more mention and respect. He was mentioned, of course, but only briefly. I feel like someone who doesn't know about Kiss, who's watching it for the first time, would underestimate the influence, the amazingness, the sacrifices that Bill Aucoin made for that band. And, you know, they kind of brushed over everyone else, like Sean Delaney and Neil Bogart and his wife Joyce and all that. I just feel like they were, you know, a footnote. And while they were mentioned, they were only mentioned. Okay, also, here is an interesting thing that I found. And unfortunately, I don't know how to screenshot anything. So you're just going to have to go off my observation and then maybe go back and find the screenshot for yourself. But in part 2, during the reunion farewell segment, Gene was talking about the incident where Ace missed the plane. On the text on the screen, it said they were going to a show, and it said in the year 2000. However, when they started playing Ace's archival audio, it was from an audio clip from 1998. I found that really, really fascinating that they can't even get their date straight. Whoever edited that just really horribly. I mean, it was true that Ace missed the plane and that he showed up and that he did his makeup in 15 minutes and he's just that good and that he said he, you know, could come in and say, "Step aside, Tommy." That was an awesome event. And he also, it is true for the record that Tommy got punched by Ace. I wish I would have been a fly on the wall to see that. Anyway, whoever edited that piece did a horrible job. You can't even get it straight. And I didn't even notice that the first time watching. I noticed that the second time watching. So that was really, really interesting. Also, off the top of my head, I didn't write it down, but it'll be the final point in this because I wanted to kind of keep this short. Jeanette Fraley and Lydia Criss, their pictures, they made some cameo appearances in the pictures. You can see that picture of Lydia and Alice Cooper in part 1, and also you can see a picture of Jeanette, Sean Delaney, Bill Aucoin, and Lydia. I just thought it was cool that they made cameo appearances, and you know, other people that made cameo appearances, like in, you know, segments or anything like that. I thought that was really awesome. It's just fun who can pop up, you know, in like clips. You're like, oh, look at that person. And I just thought that was really, really fun to note. So with that, I'm going to conclude this video on part 2. My leftover thoughts. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next Kiss video. I'm Emily Graziano. Thank you, and bye-bye.